Pretty much all the irons that you'll see on the video I've bought, apart from these, and these are the Blanchard irons. And one of the reasons I've not bought them is they're so expensive. However, I've got a big thank you to say to Vladimir Petrov for loaning me his lovely set of Blanchard irons, the 2-prong and the is it 2, 4, 6, 8-prong, 12 stitches per inch. Okay. This is the Blanchard iron, or Blanchard irons. Now, this is the second video that I've done. I've reshot this for a very good reason, namely because I got a number of things wrong. The most paramount thing was the price. I was having a little bit of a difficult time believing that this was worth 156 quid. Well, it's not 156 quid at all. It's actually 86 pounds, 117 euros. And unfortunately what I'd done is I'd actually priced the 8 SPI 12 tooth version, whereas this is actually the 12 SPI 8 tooth. So this will set you back the princely sum of £86. And when you look at the closest comparable version, you've got the 1/8, you've got the 8 stitches per inch, 1 inch Dixon iron. That'll set you back 56 quid, so 60 quid. Now, the Dixon irons that I've explained in the other video, on the 2-prong options, they bend quite easily and the steel seems quite soft, and that's a little bit of a bugbear. I am told, however, that the Blanchard irons are made from tool steel. Now, I've not had this confirmed. I've had no email back from Blanchard, which is unfortunate. But they're made from tool steel and they are hardened. So you're getting a higher quality steel. You're getting a hardened higher quality steel. These are never going to bend, and they're going to last you a lifetime. Now, when the price is 86 quid, 117 euros, for a tool that will last you a lifetime, made of that calibre, made of that standard, it becomes an exceptionally attractive option for your toolbox. And I have had a good rethink, and some of you may have seen the first video of me going on about not believing that it's worth 156 quid. That is a lot of money, but bringing it back down to under 90 quid for tooling steel and case hardened and of this calibre, all of a sudden makes it a very, very attractive possibility. And I do appreciate it's expensive. You can buy a set of the Proline irons for the cost of this. And if you're starting out, the Tandy iron, the Craftshaw, the Sabre, way to go, definitely, because you're investing a small amount of money to find out if you've got the passion, if you've got the love and the aptitude. If you're already established in your stitching and your leatherworking and you're looking at upgrading to a higher quality tool, then you need to consider something like this. Yes, the Dixons are an option. You're looking at 55, 60 quid. And you will get something like this. You're looking at a similar sort of price for the Osborne, and you'll get something like this. These are the 3 high-end makers of pricking irons in the world: Dixons, Blanchard, Osborne. America, France, England. We've got the Craftshaw, the Kyoshinelli from Japan, but at the moment they're not high-end, high quality. Although, to be fair, that we do have the issue with regard to me bending the Kyoshinelli and me bending the Dixon, not bent the Osborne, and I don't think I'm going to be able to bend the Blanchard because of it being tooling steel and case hardened. So out of the 3 of the top end, this is the most expensive. These are comparable to each other. You get a great range in Dixon, you get a limited range in Osborne, you get the whole range in Blanchard. They go up to a phenomenal range. And if I go to my crib sheet, I do believe I've taken some notes off the website, and if you bear with me, and Dixons go up to 12 SPI, and Blanchard go up to 14 SPI. So you've got a lovely range there, and really, I mean, this is 12. It's a fine stitch. If you want to go any further than that, you're looking at very, very detailed work. I wouldn't use 12 as a normal course. I think probably the finest I'd go, even for watch straps, is you're looking at about 10. I'd be comfortable with that. And I'm going to look at thread range as well, and that's one of the reasons that I wanted to revisit, is to highlight to people that yes, this is all of a sudden quite a viable option, because it's a high quality, well made piece of kit. And one of the phrases that I use in the first videos is this is supposed to be the Rolls Royce of the pricking iron world. Well, I'm going to revise that. I think it possibly is. You can see it's handmade. We'll still discuss that there is marks of grinding. There's an iron bin pedantic, a minuscule unevenness to the shoulders. It would be nice to have that absolutely pristine, but that's just me being pedantic and finding potential faults with things. However, it does do the job beautifully, magnificently. His stitch is gorgeous, it really does. Just to give you some of the finer details, the tool width is 1.82 mil, so that will give you quite a short stitch, but for 12 SPI you want it short, and to be fair, that could even be smaller. I would expect that closer to 1 mil. There may be the issue with taking metal down and expecting it to be strong at 1 mil. It may have been tested, it may be too thin, I don't know. But that's quite a long hole for a fine thread. So we'll push the boundaries on that and see what we can force into it. Let's have a look at how it stitches. I'm quite pleased with it. I'm going to stitch it with 3 threads. I'm going to use the Fleur Chinois, the Barber linen, and the Tiger 0.6. So I'm going to do 3 rows of holes, and we're going to have a look at how they mark up and what they look like. So first things first, we'll do our first line. We'll do our second line, and we'll do a third line. And we can look there, because they're quite close together, they're about 1/4 of an inch apart. We can look there at what the stitching looks like compared to the rest. Now just doing that leaves an absolute beautiful row of holes. Because it's a pricking iron, I've got almost 2 mil hole that I'm making. I try to make the hole either side of the line that I make, and the reason for this is when you score your leather, you mark it, and if you put your pricking iron, straddle the line straight over it, then when you stitch, that line disappears. So 3 rows of stitching, very, very smart, very neat and sharp, and you can just see that that is going to stitch well. So what we're going to do now is going to take it to the clam. I'm going to start off with the Fleur Chinois thread, then I'm going to do the Barber thread, and then I'm going to do the Tiger thread, and we can have a look at all 3, and you can make your mind up over which one. Now I do appreciate that a lot of the people watching wouldn't necessarily go straight to 12 SPI, but Tiger thread is difficult to obtain in some places. Barber linen is a lot easier. Fleur Chinois for others is a lot easier. So we'll look at the options that you've got available where you are, and it might be that you decide to stitch with something else. I tend, certainly in the workshop, to favour bonded polyester tiger thread, because it's so strong, it's not going to fail. Everything that I make is guaranteed for life, and I need to guarantee the stitching, and I know that if I use tiger thread, that stitching is not going to fail, it's not going to rot. Really takes an awful lot to wear it out, and you're not going to break it. Now unfortunately, I really don't have an awful lot of filet chinois, and I've only got about 10 inches of 432, which I think is probably the best for 12 SPI. I don't know, we'll find out. I've got some 332, but that's kind of chunky and massive. So let's start off and see how much stitching we get for this piece of thread. And you can see that it's not a big piece, it's only dinky, but it might be enough to give us an idea. I shall continue with the cast for the thread to give it its best possible light, and I really don't think I'm going to be able to do that many stitches with the amount of thread that I've got, but hopefully there will be enough to give you a good idea. Whilst, I mean, if there are any French speakers out there, and I am saying chinois wrong or pronouncing it incorrectly, I do apologise. Filet chinois. It is one of the better linen threads on the market. The price reflects that, but it is a quality linen, and it's strong, which is nice. It's certainly, out of all the linen threads, it's the one that breaks the least. And you can probably see this better than I can. For a start, I'm too close, my eyes aren't working properly, but hopefully that's giving us a nice looking stitch. So what I shall do is just skip to the end. I shall do as many as I can with the thread that I've got, and we'll come back to it and have a proper look. Okay, that's the chinois all gone, and I've managed to just make it to the end. That's 432, and that's a lovely thread to stitch with. It's a shame it was so short, because I couldn't get the enjoyment of going all the way through the proper stitching process that you go through, feeling very much fighting with the short tails. But nonetheless, that has given a lovely stitch. And just to try and sort of come in, we've not tapped it down, I'm not going to do that till the end, but that has given a very even and nice stitch. The hole's a little large for the 432, maybe the 332 would be better, but certainly for the time being that's given quite a nice stitch. And we'll tap it down, close the holes up, and we'll see what happens. But what I'm using now is Barber 18.3, 15.3, I've got to find it now, I've lost it, bear with me, I do apologise. 18.3 I'm using. There we are, in black. I'm using number 4 John James needles, and let's have a look at how this performs. I think out of the two, it's possible the chinois may be fractionally thicker, but the Barber is a little stiffer. There we are, all the wax is caught up. Now, I really would like to get a set of Blanchard irons in 9, 10 SPI and do a review on that, because then that would be a lot closer to all the other irons, and I think it would be closer to what people want. I can't see anybody rushing out to buy 12 SPI, but the idea behind this is this is the only Blanchard iron that I have, so needs must. But I really would like to see what a high quality, well made iron would stitch like at 8, 9 SPI. And I appreciate I have the Dixons, and the Dixons do the job, and I do say, and I will say again, that the vast majority of work you've seen me stitch has been using the Dixon irons, but I would be very, very curious to see the quality that the Blanchard bring. And I think I may even treat myself. In fact, one of the irons that I don't have is a 10. 9 is the smallest that I go, and this experiment here with the 12 I think will highlight a couple of interesting points as to how far, because I'm going to use the tiger thread after this at 0.6, and I'm normally 0.6 I'll be stitching at 8, 9 SPI. Well, I'm going to take it down to 12 SPI. So let me finish this run, come back, and then we'll have a look at the tiger thread. Okay, that's the row stitching done with the 18-3 Barber thread. So we've got the 432 chinois, the 18-3 Barber, both give a really nice stitch. Just pop that off there so you can see it. And again, not tapped down yet. Now I'm going to use 0.6mm tiger thread. Now I think, like I was explaining, and I may be repeating myself if I was, can't think and talk, it's not a skill I possess. I tend to go down to 9 with the 0.6. This is going down to 12. Now if this works, anything between 12 and 8 is awesome for 0.6, and I do think that I would like a 10 SPI iron. I just don't simply have one of those. It's always gone when you go down below 8, 9, you jump to 12. But I think 10 would be a really nice stitch. 9's a lovely stitch, and I just think that extra stitch per inch would just tighten it up. And if this works, if the 0.6 works at 12 SPI, and it's going to look beautiful. You would think that the 0.6mm thread, maybe that's a massive thread, maybe a little too large for a stitch of this size, but let's find out. Blanchard 12 stitches per inch, 8 teeth, and we've got 3 rows of stitching. Filler chinois, Barber 18-3, and bonded polyester tiger thread 0.6mm. Let's tap these down and have a look at how they present themselves when we've given them the best opportunity. Now I think that's very, very interesting, insofar as we've got what many would define as the perfect thread for 12 stitches per inch, the chinois 432, the 18-3 also very, very common use in this stitch, but then we've got the 0.6mm bonded polyester tiger thread. That looks pretty smart. A little chunkier, but no more chunkier, to be fair, than the other two. And I think if you were to stitch 12 SPI with 0.6mm thread, it would look okay. But certainly if you drop that down to 10 SPI, which I was toying with the idea of doing, that I think would look awesome. Yes, we've had a look at the thread, 3 different threads, all stitched beautifully. The reason they stitch beautifully is they've had a good start. The Blanchard 12 SPI 8 tooth, 86 quid from Blanchard, 117 euros, tooling steel, case hardened, works a dream. Look at that. And yes, I appreciate you're quite close with the camera, but what I'm going to do to give you some perspective, there we are. That's not a big stitch. That's 12 stitches per inch. 12 of those little creatures in there. So that's a fine stitch, and yes, you're looking at it a lot bigger on the screen, I appreciate that. But that's not bad going, that's not too shabby at all. And if you did want to go that fine, then you know the threads to use, you know the needles, number 4 John James. I can't argue with that. For 86 quid, for a stitch of that calibre, and that's a professional calibre stitch, gorgeous.